Introducing God's Learning Channel's brand new Amazon bookstore, your gateway to a world of wisdom and faith. Our Amazon bookstore offers a remarkable collection of dozens of hand-picked items, carefully curated to enrich your spiritual journey. From a wide selection of traditional Christian and Jewish Bibles to Judaica treasures, biblical holiday merchandise, and even beautiful jewelry. Our Amazon bookstore has it all. Conveniently shop from the comfort of your own home at any time. Just visit our website or stop by our online bookstore. Or better yet, simply find us on Amazon to embark on a transformative shopping experience. New items are added regularly, so remember to always check back. Shop now and embrace the blessings that await you.
Hi friends, we at GLC would like to take a quick moment to thank you for watching our programs on this platform, and we'd like to ask you for a little favor. Would you please go beneath this video and click the subscribe button? Did you know that by simply subscribing to the GLC YouTube channel, you can help us financially support the programs on this platform? You'll need to be signed into YouTube beforehand. But if not, simply click the subscribe button and YouTube will automatically walk you through the steps to sign in or to create an account. By taking these simple steps, you will not only ensure that you continue to receive our unique programming and gain instant access to the hundreds of videos we post, but more importantly, you'll also be telling YouTube that GLC's content is worth watching and promoting. Likewise, if you enjoyed a specific program, please click the thumbs up button below, which also helps inform YouTube that this is a program worth recommending. Finally, once you have logged in and subscribed, please click the notification bell below in order to receive announcements when we post new content. As usual, feel free to post your questions and comments in the comments section below. We always love hearing from our friends and viewers. Again, thank you for watching and supporting God's Learning Channel. We couldn't spread the message of the gospel without you. Be blessed, and we hope you enjoy the show.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to GLC. We have just an amazing guest who's going to be with us, fresh in from Israel, Gidon Ariel from rootresources.com. We are just eager to learn what is new, and we're hearing so much of what's going on. We have been, as a family, as God's Learning Channel and our audience, we have all been in prayer to help support Israel. We have been hearing so many different things. Watching the news in the U.S., Gidon, is just, it's upsetting. I feel like they're not telling the full story. And in this era of disinformation, what can we learn? What's new? What do you know? What are you seeing? And how can we support Israel?
Well, thank you very much. I'll take those questions one at a time. First
Yes.
of all, I'm Gidon Ariel. As you mentioned, my website is Root Source, which is a platform for pro-Israel Christians and Jews to engage with each other. I'm visiting now in Texas. I just landed a few days ago, which of course was only a few days after the war in the South started. And personally, my wife and I were away from our home. We live in a small community in Judea, just south of Hebron. And we went to visit our son and his family who live in Har Bracha, which is a slightly larger, small community, not far from Nablus in Samaria, close to the city of Ariel. After we finished our early prayers on Shabbat, the holiday of Simchat Torah,
Yes.
the 8th day of Solemn Assembly, I think that's how it's translated in English, the director of the community walked into the synagogue and said, everybody please be quiet, I have an important announcement to make. The government has just announced an emergency situation, and as I assume that you've already reported here on GLC, hundreds of people, it seems that hundreds of people have already been killed by terrorists who have infiltrated communities just outside of the Gaza Strip. Since ultimately, some of the people in that community were mobilized to their reserve duty. Some of the soldiers who were in regular army returned to their bases, the rest of us pretty much continued till the end of the holiday. The holiday finished. I turned on my phone, turned on WhatsApp, and I saw hundreds of messages, including what everybody whose phone wasn't off over Shabbat saw in real time.
Yes.
Since then, of course, there have been tremendous stories coming out of around the Gaza Strip, how the horrific terrorists behaved in ways that we haven't seen certainly in decades since the Holocaust, and I think since the Middle Ages, the way that they horrifically behaved, cutting off people's heads, stepping into babies, raping. Over 100 people were kidnapped and brought in as hostages into the Gaza Strip, where they've been hidden in the tunnels over there. Ultimately, over 1,200. The latest number is over 1,200 Israelis were murdered. Not only Israelis, I saw a list of over a dozen countries that were participating, amongst other things, in a peace party that was being held on Shabbat, with over 1,000 people, and over 250 people were killed over there. Just horrific things that, again, we're today on the 5th day of the war, and you've probably discussed some of these horrific things that have been going on. I had this trip to Texas planned weeks ago, and thankfully my plane ticket was reserved on El Al Israel Airlines, which is virtually the only airline that continued to fly. And so I made it here as planned. And what I've been doing here since I came in, even though that wasn't my original plan, I've been giving interviews as an Israeli who can do my best in giving my perspective on what's going on the ground.
Yeah, I know. I read through your biography of what you do, your ministry. I also read that you are a reservist as well. Was your unit called back up, and did you happen to get a call too during this time frame?
Okay, I might not have updated my personal bio. I had been. I joined the Israeli military about. Oh my goodness, how old am I? About 45, about 40 years ago, when I was about 18 or 20. And for the first 20, of course, I served there for about 3 years, the normal time for the normal service. Afterwards, in Israel, we do reserve duty about a month every year. So for about 20 years, I was in the Armor Corps, the tanks. And then for about 10 or 15 years, I served as an officer in the Israeli Defense Forces, the IDF's spokesperson's unit. Yeah. Since then, I've celebrated my 50th and 55th birthday, and now already my 60th birthday. So I am not in the reserves anymore. But I theoretically guess I could have volunteered, but I'd volunteer for other things as well. And I'm volunteering my 2 sons and my son-in-law, who are in the reserves. All 3 of them did the regular army, and now my son-in-law is a combat engineer, and my 2 sons are chaplaincy services specialists. So my son-in-law and one of my sons is stationed right now in the north, and my other son is stationed in the south, just supporting the battles that are raging right now inside Israel's sovereign territory, in some of the small communities down there in the south by the Gaza Strip's border. And probably he will be going in together with his unit into Gaza when the Israeli invasion, depending on who you are, I guess how you say it, will begin probably in a few days.
Yeah, well, Gidon, may Hashem protect your family and may in your community and Ve'akol Israel, all of Israel. Thank you for that quick update. I think for America, we're watching, the we're watching the news. We're seeing pro-Palestinian parades in Michigan. It is just it's crazy to see this in our own homeland, in our own backyard, of people standing up for Hamas, this horrific terrorist group. Can you give us light? Does Israel see the difference between Hamas, the organization, the terrorist group, with Palestinian people? Do they see a difference? Is it sort of one and the same, synonymous? Can you tell us what the general feeling is from Israel? And I think the reason I ask this question is because I think in my heart, I really would love to see, they always say that there's a peaceful, there's a peaceful people amongst the Muslims, but yet we never see anyone stand up and say, hey, we don't condone this action. It's like we want to hear them say, we don't condone it. We have news people chasing down people in our own government saying, hey, can you give us a statement basically saying we don't stand for it, but we're not getting that statement from anyone. And it just makes you feel is there a peaceful Palestinian state? I don't know. Maybe you can give us what your thoughts are.
Thank you very much. Just like any two people, every two Palestinians are different as well. That being said, I think that tragically, the majority of Palestinians either are not or cannot present themselves as being willing to be moderates or to love peace, as we would ordinarily describe and define peace as absence of belligerency and willingness to live together and to solve problems that we have amicably. Right now, I'm staying, for example, at somebody's home. Chances are, maybe their neighbor didn't throw out the garbage on the right day or something like that. Can you imagine if, since there might be an argument between two neighbors, they pull out their APCs and their submachine guns and start blowing up each other's houses? Obviously, that sounds ridiculous, but it seems that some of the people who are trying to get on Israel's case are saying, yes, but what the Palestinians did might not be so great, but you guys aren't so good either. So this whataboutism, this butness, is not something that normative people should engage in. Unfortunately, right. I think it's mostly because of the rampant social media and the way that people can hide behind their keyboards. People are just pushing the idea of I can say whatever I want, and enough people say it, then the big lie becomes like a truth. So on social media, the ability to be accepted as I apologize as an anti-Semite is simply completely acceptable, and so people they reframe their anti-Semitism as pro-Palestinianism, and then they move their pro-Palestinianism into anti-Israelism. But none of that is true. Certainly, you don't have to be pro-Palestinian to be anti-Semitic, and you don't have to be anti-Semitic to be pro-Palestinian. So there doesn't have to be any connection there. And just because you are pro, let's call it human rights for Palestinians, that doesn't mean that you have to be against Israel. And the fact is that for the most part, Israelis treat Palestinians much better than the Hamas government in the Gaza Strip and the PLO government in Judea and Samaria in the West Bank. And I can tell you that because I am friends and I participate in groups with with Palestinians. Palestinians don't like the PA, and they want to topple the PA. Right now, they don't have enough power. Unfortunately, the PA has an armed force, a quasi-official, an official force of using weapons. So it's not so easy to oppose that kind of.
Right.
Not to mention in the Gaza Strip, where the Hamas rules, and the first thing that they did in the Gaza Strip, the first thing the Hamas did in the Gaza Strip when they attained power was murder all of the PLO oppositions, the Fatah oppositionary leaders. Not to mention the Christians, for example, Arab Christians who lived in Gaza. They did their best to escape, and most of them have. So what you've got over here is a total imbalance of reality and the way that media, both unfortunately mainstream media, which is certainly more anti-Semitic than it should be, and so many social media pundits who feel very comfortable in their bubble of anti-Semitic social media people. So that is what is going on. When in reality, I say that the best way to achieve peace in the Middle East is just leave us alone. If the anti-human rights Palestinians wouldn't get so much focus from the rest of the world, then they would say, okay, I guess there's no reason for me to do so much terror if nobody's going to report it. There's no reason for me to try to get more out of the Israelis if nobody else is pushing me on. So that's the situation. And again, I believe one of your questions was: is there a difference between the Hamas and the run of the mill, the vanilla, if you will, Palestinians who live in the Gaza Strip? The answer is definitely. I know a number of Palestinians who lived in the Gaza Strip, escaped by the skin of their teeth, and they know that if you don't toe the party line in Gaza, then the Hamas has no rambunctions to about killing you. It's much easier for them to kill a Palestinian in the Gaza Strip than it is for them to kill an Israeli outside of the Gaza Strip. So what we really have is what we really have. Let me just finish the thought. Is a horrific, horrible terror regime in Gaza. Those are the people that we Israelis are at war with, and we would like nothing better than to cleanse the Gaza Strip from that terror regime. And whoever is left and wants to make peace with us, just like in the Bible, Joshua, before he attacked, he put out his hand in peace, just like the Gibeonites, that they came and said, we want to make peace with you. Ultimately, there was a little bit of white lying going on over there. But that's it. Israelis want peace. This, read my lips, this is not some sort of a game that people will love us more if we say we want peace. We really want peace, and we pray that the Palestinians and the Saudi Arabians and ultimately the Iranians will want to have peace with us, because just like it says in the Israeli Declaration of Independence, we hold out our hands in friendship, and once that hand will be embraced by our Arab neighbors, then the Middle East will blossom like no other place in the world.
Yes. Well, I think we all know that this isn't limited to the Palestinian and Hamas's agenda. We're now seeing drones and an aerial attack coming to the north. I heard, and have you heard anything about this, Gidon, that you could give us an update on? Do you know anything else that's going on up north right now?
I'm really sorry that I can't give you the very latest because we started this program at the top of the hour, so I missed the top of the hour news. And this morning I was giving an interview for about 2 hours, so I was unable to check my mail and my WhatsApp groups every minute.
Yes.
But what there was actually in Israel today was a false alarm. Somebody probably was somebody in the homeland command, back home command, or something like that. I pronounce it in English. The home front command was probably trying to order some home delivery pizza or something like that. But instead of pressing the purchase button, he pressed the button that says, "Please sound the alarm" across every single phone in Israel. So everybody in Israel got an alarm telling them to go into their safe rooms and lock themselves into their miklatim, into their safe rooms. And after about half an hour of everybody asking, "What happened? What happened? What happened?" they said, "Oh, it was a mistake." So I'm not sure if and I did hear about this going on over the north. I'm not. I simply cannot say that I looked into it enough. If that report that we heard about what happened in the north was something that actually happened, or was it just part of the nationwide report of that false alarm? So I'd rather not report about that specifically.
Sure. Can you give us a little bit of insight? Maybe you might understand from those around you. We've heard Hezbollah maybe threatening to come in now, and I've heard this is a proxy for Iran and other things. Can you, do we? Once another group gets involved, if we can, if Israel can confirm Hezbollah gets involved, I mean, we don't go from a war just on one front. How many fronts do you think we would be facing if Hezbollah is confirmed to be involved in these attacks?
Okay, so the Hezbollah, which is Arabic for Party of God, I think we would like them to party with God in the next world and not in this world. Sorry about that lame attempt at humor. The Hezbollah is based in Lebanon. You mentioned that they are a proxy for Iran, but Iran, as everybody has heard, is the #1 sponsor of terror in the world. Had it not been for Iran, there would be much less terror because terror has to be funded, and they are the biggest funders of terror. To call them the proxy, not everybody. I don't really know how to say that is the tail wagging the dog or is the dog wagging the tail as far as Iran and Hezbollah is concerned. The same thing with Hamas down in the Gaza Strip and also the Jihad Ha-Islami, the Islamic Jihad. And the PLFP, there's plenty of terrorist organizations to go around. If the northern terrorist organization, the Hezbollah in Lebanon, decides to dares to open fire on Israel, then I think that Israel has a lot of plans in the drawer. We call that the Tochnit Megirah. Not sure what the phrase is in English. I think that Israel is preparing for exactly that scenario. We're not the chief of staff is not saying, "Come on, Hezbollah, bring it on." Nobody likes to put soldiers in the line of danger, but that is what we're practicing for all the time. And if it happens, then we will. And I'm quoting what I heard from Prime Minister Netanyahu and the Minister of Defense Gallant, saying we are able to respond to any actions that you dare take, and we will basically blast you to kingdom come. They've said that in the past as well.
Yeah.
The fact that this attack came as a surprise, I'm talking about Saturday's attack, came as a surprise. The fence between the Gaza Strip the area outside of the Gaza Strip, the kibbutzim in the southwest of Israel, where the fence was breached so easily and for such a long time.
Yeah.
There was no Israeli army that jumped
Right.
and went into action. That is a question that nobody is asking and nobody is demanding questions for at this point, and nobody is giving answers at this point, because we're still busy at war. We're still finishing to clean out the kibbutzim where some terrorists might still be hiding.
You're right.
And then once we're confident that there are no more terrorists in Israel proper, and the fence has been fixed, then it's time to open not the fence but the gate and send in the tanks and the land crews and the paratroopers and the special forces, and and of course the Air Force, and to show Hamas that we're not going to play the games like we have in the past. And if the Hezbollah makes the mistake of acting at the same time, so we might see some of what they've been preparing for, but ultimately there will not be any Hezbollah left after that. I am confident.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to sort of shift for my final question, Gidon, and kind of away from the geopolitical stuff going on, but also I just think there's the operation that Hamas had. It was called Liberate All Alaska Mosque, right? That was the name of their operation.
Yes.
Do you think that, and I think a lot of Christians and Western Christians and here in the United States are thinking, does Israel after this operation allow the Temple Mount to still be controlled by the Muslim groups, or does this shift the mindset of those who get to make this decision that maybe we no longer allow the Temple Mount to be? It needs to come back into control under Israel. And I don't know the right way to ask that question, but I think you understand what I'm trying to ask.
So let me maybe try to paraphrase what you're saying. And give a little background for our viewers. Since 1967, when the Temple Mount came under Jewish control for the first time in about 2,000 years, on God's Learning Channel, I think I could pause and dwell on that point for a moment. We saw miracles in 1967, the likes of which have not been seen in 2,000 years. The Jewish people came back to the place that God commanded us in the Bible, the place where I put my name and is the place where my Shekhinah, my holy presence, lives. And that happened in 1967. We were evidently not meritorious enough to build the temple at that point. So instead, it was the Minister of Defense at the time of the Six-Day War, Moshe Dayan, who said, listen, we don't need this Vatican, as he called it. He gave the keys back to the Jordanians and said, you guys can continue being on top. There's a trust called the Waqf, which is the Muslim Islamic Trust, and they run the Temple Mount. That being said, for the past few years, there have been more and more Jews who have been agitating for religious rights, human rights on the Temple Mount, the holiest spot in the world for Jews, and more and more Jews have been requesting that right. And I could say that about 10 years ago, less than 1,000 Jews would visit the Temple Mount in purity as a religious visit. Today, this year, over 50,000 Jews have visited the Temple Mount. So to grow in 50 times in 10 years is astounding. I actually happen to be a Temple Mount advocate and activist. My son, who I mentioned before, works for an organization called Biyadenu, In Our Hands, named for that famous call the Temple Mount is in our hands since 1967. So I encourage your viewers to check out my website and to contact us, and I promise that I will respond to every single viewer who contacts me, and I hope to become your friends. And continue to pray for Israel and to support Israel in ways that you know, because we all want to be on God's side.
Amen. Thank you.